Welcome back, Cleveland County. We are here at the Green Family Farm, and I want to make note of this special day. A year ago in November, we started our Cleveland County Kitchen program. We interviewed Lloyd Lewis with his sweet potatoes. Now we're here with Sherry and Anne Marie Green, and they are part of the Green Family Farm. We're highlighting pork for the month of November, which will be appropriate for Thanksgiving. Sherry and Anne Marie Green, mom and daughter. And we're here to talk about, well, what started all of this?
Well, we were trying to learn to feed ourselves better. My husband and I both grew up on dairy farms, and we were trying to recreate some of that atmosphere of raising our own food for ourselves. And he had always wanted chickens, so he got some chickens to start off with. And we were used to those good eggs, and we became dissatisfied with some of the pork that we were getting, and we decided to try to raise some for ourselves. We kind of had the chicken thing in hand, so we decided to expand a little bit.
Well, and I would love for you to tell me what we've just talked about prior to filming, about why all this is such good and it tastes good and it's very nutritional.
Sure.
The pork.
Well, they eat grass, which they love. They eat weeds. They eat small trees. They eat blackberries.
They eat nuts. They eat
roots, blackberry canes, everything. And they're
which are natural foods.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
With all the benefits that they bring.
Yes.
And so they benefit from that. And then we also make sure that they have a balanced ration from southern states. So,
and we make sure it's high in protein and not high in carbohydrates, so they don't just get fat. They're actually putting on meat and muscle.
Yes, which is what we want when we eat a piece of pork.
Right. Our meat is quite lean. When we fry up our sausage or fry up our bacon, there's not much grease. It's not just swimming.
Oh, that's
its own
great.
fat.
Yes. Where can people buy your meat?
From right here on the farm, or at the farmer's market.
Okay.
We're at the farmer's market every day that it's open.
And we freely give people our contact information. They can call or email or Facebook message and order things.
And you are located on Pleasant Ridge Church Road, one house to the south of the parsonage. Am I correct with those?
Yes, that's right.
With that description?
On the same side of the road.
Yes. Now, will you have a sign out front? How will people know that they can come here and buy pork? Am I correct?
Call ahead, because we might not be there. Might not be ready. Might be back here, but people can call ahead and arrange to pick things up. And we do have hogs and whole hogs for people, or even quarter hogs if they want that. We can fill orders. People who want to stock up their freezers for winter, we're glad to do that.
Okay.
We'll talk about whatever you want to do.
Okay. Well, and I also want to let Cleveland County know that you have chickens and different greens. Am I correct with that? And I've seen you all at the farmer's market with big bags of greens, of kale, I would assume, and lettuces when it's appropriate in the season.
Right.
So you are almost a subsistence farming with your meat and your vegetables. You have eggs and chickens, cows we've just learned about, and there's some geese here in the back.
Yes.
They lay eggs, I'm assuming?
They do, but not very many, and they have a short laying season, actually. They're not like chickens who can lay year-round.
Okay.
Yeah, we got them partly because we thought it would be fun, and partly as a hawk deterrent. They will sound an alarm. They're very observant.
Very loud.
Yes.
Very territorial.
Yeah. So and they do. If there's any danger around, they'll set up an alarm.
So they're almost like a dog.
Almost. Yes.
And I would assume maybe that you'll eat them at some point.
Yeah, we have done that.
Well,
It's good stuff.
I mean, like a Christmas goose or something. Sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I want to thank both of you, Sherry and Anne Marie. You both are so knowledgeable about all of your products, and you have certainly told Cleveland County the value of eating homegrown pork. Thanksgiving's coming up, so remember. Please stay tuned, and we'll be in the studio with Nancy Abassier-Kong talking about the nutritional value of pork.
Right here, right now, right here, right now.
Hi, I'm Linda Hopper, and I'm excited about Woman to Woman right here on C19 TV. Each month, my guest and I will chat about issues relating to women in general, but with a special focus on women right here in Cleveland County. Our topics will range from serious issues such as domestic violence and workplace challenges to fun topics such as fashion and healthy lifestyles and much, much more. So please join me as we discuss the issues, interests, and inspiration of women everywhere on Woman to Woman.
Welcome back, Cleveland County. We're in the studio with Nancy Abassier-Kong, and she is still the Cooperative Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences at Cleveland County's Cooperative Extension Department. And we're here, as you are aware, talking about pork, which came from the pigs that we just got through looking at, rooting around in the dirt. And something very interesting that you told me, Nancy, just before the show started, was that pork can be considered part of a heart-healthy diet.
Yes. Pork today, Deborah, is more lean. It has less cholesterol, less saturated fat than, say, 20 years ago. And, of course, just as with all pork or all meat products, we're looking at serving size. We're concerned about the size of the serving. And 3 ounces is a serving of pork, about a deck of cards.
Okay, or like
the
your
palm
hand.
of your hand.
Palm
Yes.
of your hand would be 3 ounces.
Right.
Okay. Well, that is a good measure when you're in the restaurant. Then you'll
Right.
know.
And
Either
often,
you got shortchanged or you need to not eat it, not to finish your food.
right. Most of the time in the restaurant, you have enough for more than one serving. So you might, at the beginning of the meal, ask for a carry-out container and just put some of the product away to start with, and then eat whatever you consider to be the serving, but keeping that 3 ounces kind of as a guide.
Oh, that's perfect. Now, on to the nutritional value, which would be part of the heart-healthy diet. What good things can we get out of eating, say, a pork loin or, I would assume, even bacon?
Right. Well, with bacon, the issue there is that you're getting a lot more fat. So we're looking at the lean cuts of pork, which come from the loin section, and that's the top of the pig's back is where you'll get the loin.
Okay.
And on our Cleveland County Kitchen fact sheet, we will have a link to where you can check that out. Look at the different cuts and what comes from where. But if something says loin in pork loin or your chops and so forth, you'll know that that's your tender part, your more lean parts.
Okay.
Still trim off any visible fat.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you'll still trim away the visible fat there. And watch your serving size.
Now, as far as the nutrients in pork, I know there's a lot of good proteins.
Right, and protein is
amino
your
acids
main,
as
right.
well.
Amino acids, you have some B vitamins, iron, and of course it's a great protein source is your main thing with eating pork and other meats, other lean meats. And it is a complete protein. Of course, your meats would be a complete protein.
Oh, sir. Oh, well, that's good to know. Now, as far as preserving, say you wanted to get, because from farmers you could even get a whole hog processed or a partial hog. How is the best way, and sort of what is the rule of thumb for freezing pork to save for a later time?
All right. In freezing, you'll want to buy your meat frozen if it's at the farmer's market, because it is processed by a certified USDA certified meat handlers, and so it is not processed at the farm. You know, they would send it to a packer and have it processed. They receive it frozen, and then it is sold in that frozen, pre-packaged state.
Okay.
So it is safely handled there. Lots of, it's inspected and so forth. When you get it home then, if you have purchased, if you're buying at the grocery store or if you are buying fresh, go ahead and cut it into serving sizes or whatever you're going to use, rather than freezing a large piece that you would have to thaw and try to refreeze and so forth.
Oh, that's good, yes.
Using your freezer heavy-duty foils as well as freezer-weight plastics to double wrap, and then you want to prevent any freezer burn. And then those will stay in the freezer. Fresh pork, 4 to 6 months.
Well, thank you so much, Nancy. Very informative about wonderful pork. Stay tuned, folks, because we will be cooking a pork loin in Cooperative Extension's kitchen in just a few minutes, so stand by.
Hi, I'm Tim Foster from C19 TV.
And I'm Gabe Wisnett from the Shelby Star.
And I'm Rob Root from KTCBroadcasting.com.
Join us each week for our 13th season of Armchair Quarterback. 2014 was a special year, with Shelby winning a second consecutive 2A state championship and Crest winning a 3A state title. What's in store on the gridiron in 2015? Each week we take a look at all 4 Cleveland County high school football teams, conference foes, Burns, Crest, Shelby, and Kings Mountain. We will look at what happened the week before and look ahead at what's coming up this week.
We will also discuss ACC, SEC, and Gardner-Webb football.
And, of course, the NFL and the Carolina Panthers.
Don't miss another great season of Armchair Quarterback each week right here on C19 TV.
Well, welcome back, Cleveland County. As I promised, we're back here in the kitchen of the Cooperative Extension Department across from Cleveland Community College. Did want to remind you one last time that this is our very first anniversary show. We started a whole year ago, November of 2014, Jim.
Great.
I have here today Jim Sanders, who is the chef of Pleasant City. He has his logo right here, and he's wearing his apron so we can see the logo. I did want to remind the audience that Pleasant City, and the chef was Jim, who did the chili for the Rotary Cook-Off downtown a couple weeks ago, and his chili won the People's Choice.
Yes.
And today, Jim, if you'll tell us what we're preparing.
Okay, today we are going to prepare a holiday stuffed pork loin. It's a great pork loin. We're going to use fruit. We're going to stuff the pork loin with fruit, and I usually like to serve it for parties or during the holidays. It's a great holiday dinner, easy to prepare. We'll have it done in about 10 minutes, and it takes about an hour to cook.
Okay, that's wonderful. Well, I'm interested in seeing how you stuff this thing, so we'll get started.
I'm going to go ahead and get started, and what we need is the ingredients first. I'll let you know what we're going to have. We use 1 pear, 1 apple, half a cup of dried apricots, and then we're also going to use a half a cup of dried cranberries, a little bit of salt and pepper at the end, as well as some salad oil.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and start with the pear. I'm going to take the pear, slice the pear. Best thing with the pear is always make sure you get the middle cut out. You don't want any of the seeds, so you take that and get rid of that.
But the fun part about one of these Anjou pears, if that's what they're called, is
Yes.
there's very little waste to one of these things.
Yes, as far as with the pears and the apples itself and everything on this dish, there's really not much waste at all. And what I'm doing now with the pear, as I will with the apples, I'm going to slice it. We're not going to dice it. We're going to make this slice. And the reason is once you put it in the pork, when it comes out, you'll see the nice texture it gives. It's not a dice. It's almost whole pieces. And it just looks absolutely beautiful when it comes out.
And I notice you're
pork.
not peeling here because, I'm not a peeler at all. I think the peel is good for you.
No, I actually like the peel, and one of my rules that I like to do is I like to keep it simple, and that way we can get this done and in the oven. You don't have much waste at all. As we're doing the apple, the same thing. As you can see, I'm cutting around the core.
Oh, that's good.
And what I've done is just cut around the core. And again, my wastage are just 2 little items. So it's really easy at home. You don't have to have somebody working behind you, running around trying to clean up and peel.
Sure.
And you also don't have your pet on the floor wanting any scraps. That's also a very important part. So again, what we're doing here is we're just going to do the same with the apple. We're going to do nice slices, nice small, easy slices.
And is this a Granny Smith?
This is. I
Okay.
recommend the Granny Smith apple. And again, you mentioned the D'Anjou pear. I like the Granny Smith. I think it's a little better taste. You can also use a Fuji apple. A Fuji apple is a great apple to use as well.
But I see this is of course, with the Granny Smith, it has quite a rough, hard texture, which means that it won't dissolve when it's cooked. I mean, it'll still carry its form.
Good form, and even though this will cook for an hour, you still have a little crunch.
Certainly.
It's still a little crunchy when the pork comes out, and you'll see that at the end. It's very nice form, very wonderful pieces. So we are going to take this. So we'll take the apple, one pear, and then now I took the dried apricots, and you can use apricots. I love apricots, and we're also going to throw in the dried cranberries. If you don't want cranberries, dried cherries are good.
Oh, certainly.
But I use the cranberries or cherries and the apricots, and the reason that I do that is it's a good mixture, but at the same time it's good color.
Right.
It gives good color, makes for a wonderful presentation. So what we're going to do is we're going to slice, just roughly slice the apricots. Again, just like we did the apples and the pears.
Well, and I can certainly see that because you don't want to get a big glob of apricot. So if you get them smaller, you're able to taste a lot of things.
Well, and with you do smaller apricots or smaller cherries or cranberries like I have, and it also gives it a nice little mixture because you have bigger pieces of pear, bigger pieces of apple, then you'll have a smaller texture
of the
apricots and the
and
the cranberries. So it's I find this better. I've used this same recipe for about 10 years. I first learned it back at the Hilton Hotels in Charlotte, and it's just a wonderful recipe, and it's a great holiday thing. So now that we have everything together, what we're going to do is we're just going to toss it and mix it around. I'm just going to use my hands here real quick and mix it, because what you want to do, we're getting ready to stuff the pork itself, is you want to make sure it's nice and mixed before you go ahead and try to shove it into the pork. Otherwise, you're not going to have good color in there. So,
right. It won't be. Yeah, it'll all be either apple or pear or
correct.
something.
So you want a nice mixture in it for good color and taste purposes. So now, before I go ahead and get started, I have a pork, and the piece of pork I have is about a 3 to 4 pound piece of pork. And it's a center cut pork loin. You get it at any grocery store.
Or from the Green Family Farm, which is where we were.
Green Family Farms. Sherry Green and them are great people. I've used them in the past. Green Family Farms would be great. You can get center cut pork from them, or again, like I said, if you need to, you can get it from the grocery store. But before you use pork, first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you use gloves. Anytime you're using raw meat, wear gloves. If you don't have gloves, anytime you touch the raw meat, make sure you immediately go to your sink and wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
I've got some
certainly.
gloves here that I'm going to go ahead and use, and we're going to go ahead and get this pork started.
Well, as I told you before, we expect chefs in the kitchen at the restaurants where we eat to use gloves.
Yes, we use gloves at Pleasant City, and I know all the other restaurants in town use gloves as well. Okay, now that I'm ready with my gloves, this is the part that gets to be the fun. I actually find this the best part of it, is the pork and stuffing it. So I got the pork here, and as you can see, I've got this is about a 4-pound piece of pork loin. And what we're going to do with this is we are going to slice a hole right in it, and we're going to go right in the middle to where I stuff it.
Okay.
A lot of people, different versions, is they will cut the pork open, stuff it, and then they'll roll it in twine. They'll wrap it in twine. I do not. I actually stuff this whole thing. So what I'm going to do, and if you can take a look here, on this end with this chef's knife, I'm going to do a 3-inch cut. About 3 inches right through, and I'm going to cut all the way through the entire part of the pork.
And I also will comment that has to be a very sharp knife to be able to do that.
Yes. Must have a sharp knife. Use a chef's knife or a very good paring knife. I prefer a chef's knife because you don't have to get your hand all the way in there.
Certainly.
And now both sides, about a 3.5 inch slice. And as you're taking your knife, sort of massage on the inside to cut through. And again, I will do the same here. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my knife aside. And then now, the best way to test is take your fingers and just push through.
Oh,
and then
so you can touch them.
Yeah, so once you touch your fingers, you know you have room in there. Sort of like a hand warmer. It's not really a warmer, though. But yeah, put your hands in there. Once you touch your fingers, sort of make sure there's room. And you kind of
work through that to be sure you have the cavity in there.
Work through, make sure you have the cavity. And now it's time to go ahead and get your stuff and start stuffing. So what I will do is I will start, and I will open up, and I will grab a good little handful. And I'm just going to start stuffing as far as I can. And I go about halfway, because then I will do the same on the other side. And as you can see, right now, you can see this side's getting a little bigger. This side's not, because you actually got it stuffed. And this gets to be important, because what you want at the end is you want to make sure that everything is nice and even, and you don't have any air gaps. What happens a lot of times is you will start here, and that'll be full. You'll start here. Then you have a piece in the middle that you miss. And you go to cut it, and the middle piece has no fruit.
Oh, certainly.
So you always want to make sure that you're stuffing this 100%. And I'm going to flip over now, switch, and do the same. And here, I check to make sure how much room I have. And again, I'm about halfway right here. So I'm going to make sure I stuff all the way in here. And continue to massage it in there. And while you're doing this, before you do this, and I should have stated this and I didn't, you want to put your oven at 400 degrees.
Oh,
so before,
thank you. Yes,
before
absolutely.
you go ahead and stuff your pork, once you have your fruit done, go ahead and turn your oven on at 400 degrees.
Perfect.
Have it preheated, because once you do this, you're going to put it in the oven for an hour or until 145 degrees. Internal temp would be 145. It's perfect for pork.
Now, I must say, with the thermometer, I know Nancy, in the previous segment, wanted to demonstrate the thermometer. So I'm so glad you're talking about that, because there are thermometers that you can stick into the meat and check the temperature.
Correct. Now, a lot of ovens at your home will already have one. That it comes with it, and you could put in it's a probe.
Oh,
a lot
certainly.
of ovens at home have a probe. I don't have one where I work. We use a thermometer.
Right.
And so with us, what we do is we'll cook it. I know it takes at least at 400 degrees for an hour. And so right about 45 minutes, I check to see where I'm at. Check my temperature.
And you actually stick it down into the meat.
Correct. What I do with my thermometer is I will stick it this way, or from here, so you can see. I stick it in this way once, stick it in the top, and I stick it to the side because you want to make sure you're getting all areas.
Right, right.
So you don't, if you hit one area, and especially with the stuffed pork, if you get it right in the middle and you're hitting just the vegetables, you may be hotter and you may not.
Certainly.
May not be. The veggies may be hotter before the pork itself.
So you want to be sure your thermometer goes into the meat.
Correct. You want to make sure that your thermometer goes into the meat itself when you're checking. May take 2 or 3 times, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're about ready to...
We're about ready. What I'm going to do now is turn it upside down and just do one more little stuff. Now that I got it upside down, I know that I've got about a 1/4 of an inch left, so I'm going to go ahead and stuff this in here and get that nice and good so we're ready there. And the last thing we do, make sure everything's perfect, and I'm going to switch some new gloves here. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to put some salt and pepper on this.
Well, and in the interest of time, I think, can we not just shake just a little bit of the salt and pepper on it?
In the interest of time, we'll do
certainly. There
salt
we
and
go.
pepper. And
Perfect.
What we'll also do is I will take the knife and slide this up under, put it in my pan right there.
Perfect, perfect.
And what you're going to do is you're going to take this into the oven.
Now, are you
degrees.
doing? I'm sorry, are you doing something with the oil?
Yeah, the oil. What you do is the very end. The same. You just sprinkle a little bit of oil right across the top.
Okay.
A little bit of oil on top with your salt and pepper. You don't need to rub it. Just a nice little sprinkle of oil on top.
Perfect.
And the reason you're doing the oil, as you will see, the salt and pepper gives it the flavor.
Mm-hmm.
The oil will give it a nice crisp look. And as you see when we show the final
Finished product. Mm-hmm.
The golden brown, and that's what the oil helps with. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven.
Okay.
Hey,
at the 400-degree oven.
400-degree oven.
Okay.
And you'll put your timer on for an hour. I would check it at about 45 minutes.
Okay.
So now I'm going to move this aside. And
we can
the
just
finished product.
We can just put that right there.
All right. The finished product will look like this. And as you can see, you see the salt and pepper and the golden brown.
Oh, beautiful.
And that's what you want. You want the top of it to be nice and golden brown. 400 degrees will be perfect for an hour. And then always, again, double check your temperature. I would check 3 different spots on your loin, maybe even 4, depending on how big it is. And then when it comes out, let it rest. You want it to rest for about 3 to 4 minutes.
Oh, that's good.
You can even let it rest longer. I recommend with this, I would let it rest about 5 minutes. Slice it, and then again, I'm going to show you the sliced product, which, as you see the sliced product right here, this is the sliced finished product. And as you can see, the different sizes of the apples, the pears itself, along with the apricots and the cranberries.
But it's all nicely packed in there.
Nicely packed in there.
It's beautiful.
When you slice it, it's easy to come up. It's beautiful. It's a great presentation. I recommend, if you want, you could leave it as is, or you can also use a cream sauce. A mustard cream sauce is really good in the holidays.
Or maybe cranberry.
Or a cranberry cream sauce.
Jim, thank you so much. This has been such an education.
Well, thank you.
A complicated-looking dish that's easy to fix. And happy anniversary.